Hello students, this is Lokesh Saraswat. Welcome to Bioaspect. In my previous video, I explained the topic nutrition. I hope all you have understood it clearly. Today I am going to start the next topic of the same chapter, life processes. Its name is respiration. In this video, I will explain what is respiration, its types, mechanism, and different respiratory systems in different organisms. So let's get started. To know what is respiration, first of all, connect it with assimilation that I explained in my previous video, nutrition. You have seen many vehicles which run on the road. They need fuel for moving one place to another. Alright, just like that, all the living organisms need the fuel so that they can get energy. This fuel comes from food. Yes, the assimilated food is used as fuel to get energy for various life functions. Alright, this assimilated food is also used for body growth, maintenance and development. Alright, and this energy released during respiration. It means respiration is useful to get energy from the assimilated food. Now we can say that respiration is a physical and chemical process in which living organisms get energy from glucose, and we can write it in the reaction. Here this is the reaction of respiration, and we can divide respiration in the three steps. Number first is external respiration or breathing. Second is internal respiration or tissue respiration, and the third one is cellular respiration. So now we will discuss three steps one by one. So this is the first step of respiration, external respiration or breathing. Most of the students think that breathing and respiration are the same things, but actually breathing comes in the process of respiration. It is the first step. What happens in this process? We take in pure air into our lungs and giving out impure air from the body with a variation in the volume of its constituents. It means when we take in air, we take all the gases. It means nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and when we exhale, all the three gases are exhaled, but in the variation of its constituents. It means their percentage will be changed. I am writing here the variation of different gases during inhalation and exhalation. So when we inhale the air, it contains nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21% and carbon dioxide 0.03%. When we exhale, nitrogen is not used up by our body cells. It will be given out as it was. Okay. Oxygen is utilized by our body cells, so its percentage will be reduced, and carbon dioxide will be produced by our body cells, so its percentage will be increased. Alright. In all the vertebrates, it means the organisms which have backbone, they are called vertebrates. In all the vertebrates, a pigment which is called hemoglobin, it is found in the red blood cells. It is responsible for carrying oxygen molecule to the different body cells, and it also carries carbon dioxide from body cell to the lungs so that it can be exhaled. The second step of respiration is the internal respiration or tissue respiration. What is a tissue? You have studied in class 9th that tissue is a group of similar cells. This process occurs between blood capillaries and tissues by the process of simple diffusion. Okay, oxygen is taken by tissue fluid and carbon dioxide is passed into the tissue fluid with the process of diffusion. So tissue fluid plays the medium between body cells and blood. The third step of respiration is the cellular respiration, which is also called the catabolic process, in which the nutrients like fatty acid, glucose and amino acids are oxidized and energy is released from it. Carbon dioxide and water also formed during this process. In the organisms like earthworm, sponge and amoeba, cellular respiration takes place. They do not breathe. Cellular respiration takes place into two steps, glycolysis and Krebs cycle. The first step of cellular respiration is the glycolysis, in which energy is released without using the oxygen. The glucose is converted into 3 carbon molecule, pyruvic acid, and energy is released in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. The second process of cellular respiration is the Krebs cycle, which happens after glycolysis. This reaction is completed in the presence of oxygen inside the mitochondria of the cell. The pyruvic acid, which was formed during glycolysis, enters in the series of chemical reactions called Krebs cycle, in which 36 ATP of energy is produced with carbon dioxide and water. When we sum up these two reactions, we get 38 ATP of energy and carbon dioxide, water as byproduct. Alright, so you have to remember two things here. First is glycolysis occurs in cytoplasm and Krebs cycle occurs in the mitochondria. Okay, in the glycolysis only 2 ATP energy is released, but in Krebs cycle, in the presence of oxygen, 38 ATP of energy is released. Okay. Here the types of respiration. On the basis of availability of oxygen, respiration is divided into two parts, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration occurs in the presence of oxygen and it is found in mostly multicellular organisms like all the insects, birds, mammals, human beings, plants, etc. 38 ATP of energy is released during aerobic respiration. Second one is anaerobic respiration. This occurs in the absence or lack of oxygen. Okay, 2 ATP of energy is released during that time, which is very less in quantity. Okay, anaerobic respiration is found in bacteria, yeast and in some parasites. But in some conditions, it is also found in human being also. When? Can you give me the answer? When it is found in human being? When we do vigorous exercise or physical workout, we feel some pain in our muscles. At that time, our muscles do not get proper oxygen, so they respire anaerobically. At that time, lactic acid is produced, which accumulated during the muscles, and this condition is called muscle cramps, in which we feel pain. So what we do at that time, we take a hot water bath so that lactic acid melts and it giving out from the body cells, and then we will feel relaxed. Here are the two conditions of anaerobic respiration. Number first is in the lack of oxygen, which is found in the muscle cells of animals. Lactic acid is produced and a small amount of energy, it means 2 ATP of energy, is produced at that time. Second one, which is found in the parasites and bacteria and yeast. Glucose is oxidized in the absence of oxygen. Here a substance ethanol is produced and a small amount of energy, it means 2 ATP of energy is produced. Okay. Yes students, this is the diagram of human respiratory system. 2 lungs are found in the chest cavity, which are protected by a skeletal box called rib cage. Rib cage also protect our heart. Starting with the nose. Nose has 2 openings called nostrils. From the nostrils air enters. Inside the nostrils there are small hairs which filter the air. It means the dust particles are filtered here. And even small dust particles which have escaped, they are trapped inside here Here a sticky substance called mucus is produced, which traps these small dust particles. Okay, and this area is called the nasal cavity. It is also called nasal passage. This nasal cavity leads to a common opening of windpipe and food pipe. This is called pharynx. Okay, the pipe which is situated behind this pipe, it is the food pipe, and the front tube is called the windpipe. Okay, in the windpipe there is a protruding part. It is called larynx. The larynx is also called the voice box from which sound is produced. So this whole portion is the windpipe. It is also called trachea. The trachea is composed of rings of cartilage. You know what is cartilage? Cartilage is a soft bone which can be bent or which can be moved side by side. So here these rings move up and down so that there is no blockage of air. After that, this trachea is divided into two separate tubes, and these two separate tubes are called bronchus, which leads into separate lungs, left and right lungs. Inside the lungs, the bronchus are divided into smaller branches. These smaller branches are called bronchioles. In the bronchioles, there are many balloon-like structures are present, and these balloon-like structures are called alveoli or air sacs. You can easily say them air pouches, in which air is filled during inhalation. Okay. These alveoli are similar to the villi which are present in the small and large intestine. I have explained in the nutrition topic. Okay. So by the process of diffusion, the oxygen is transferred into the blood. Alright. And through the circulatory system, that oxygen is transferred to each and every cell of our body so that they can do cellular respiration. Okay. After the process of cellular respiration, carbon dioxide gas is liberated. This carbon dioxide gas is transferred again by the blood and diffused into the alveoli. From the same way, the air is exhaled out. Alright. During inhalation, we take in air and the volume of the lungs increases. It means their size increases. The rib cage moves outwards. At that time, diaphragm also moves downwards. Diaphragm is called the chest floor, which balance the two lungs, because when lungs move downwards, diaphragm also moves downwards. Alright. During the process of exhalation, the air is exhaled out. It means lungs reaches to their original position. Alright, at that time rib cage also moves inwards. Okay, now diaphragm also reaches to its original position. It moves upwards because lungs are also moving upward direction. Okay, with the help of floral diagram, we will understand how air reaches to our body cells. First of all, the organ nose allow the air to enter through its opening called nostrils. From the nostril, it reaches to a passage called nasal passage. It is also called nasal cavity. From the nasal cavity, it reaches to a common opening of food pipe and windpipe. It is called pharynx. From the pharynx, it reaches to the larynx. Larynx is also called the voice box, which produce sound. From the larynx, it reaches to the windpipe. It means trachea. Now trachea divides into two different tubes called bronchus, and bronchus leads to the separate lungs, and here it is branched into smaller pipes called bronchioles. In the bronchioles there are many balloon-like structures are found. They are called alveoli, and they are connected with the blood capillaries, through which air diffused into the blood. Blood reaches to each and every part of our body. It means with the help of circulatory system, the air which is diffused into the blood, it has a pigment called hemoglobin which is found in the RBCs. It is responsible to carry the air or oxygen to the different body cells. Alright, then body cells do the cellular respiration and they release carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide exhaled out from the same way. The different organisms have different respiratory system. Starting with amoeba, which is a unicellular, its body is composed of a single cell. It does not have a separate respiratory system. Diffusion is the process by which air enters into its body through its plasma membrane. Okay, and from the same process, carbon dioxide is released out. Second is earthworm. Its moist skin extract oxygen and diffused into the blood. From the blood, it reaches to each and every body cell. Okay, as you remember, I told you in amoeba, sponge and earthworm, there is cellular respiration takes place. There is no breathing or internal respiration found in them. Okay, earthworm, cockroach, grasshopper, housefly, they have open circulatory system. It means they do not have blood vessels in their body. Okay, next one is cockroach and grasshopper and housefly, small insects. They have openings by the side of their body called spiracles. From the spiracles, air enters into their body and it leads to a branch of tubes called tracheae. Tracheae is a network of tubes which is spread in their body and it extracts oxygen which is released directly into the blood. From the blood, it reaches to each and every cell of the body. Alright. Next is fish and tadpole. Tadpole is the young one of frog. Both of them are found in the water and they utilize the oxygen which is dissolved in water. In the fish, gills are found on both the sides of its head. Fish take in water in their mouth. This water reaches to the gills and is spread over it. Alright, from the water oxygen is extracted and it is diffused into their blood. Alright, and the same procedure is the same which is followed by them. Okay, oxygen is utilized by the cell, then carbon dioxide is released and it reaches to the gills. The water contains this carbon dioxide and fish given out by their mouth. Okay, same procedure is followed by tadpole. But when tadpole transformed into an adult, it means frog, gills are transformed into lungs and its skin is also capable for respiration. When frogs are found on the land, they respire through their lungs, and when they are submerged in the water, they respire through its skin like earthworm. Okay, this is the last topic of the chapter, respiration. Respiratory system in plants. Plants respire by their roots, stem and leaves. Mainly they respire through their leaves, but roots and stem are also involved. Number first is by roots. Roots are divided into smaller branches which are called root hairs. They increases the surface area for absorbing air, water, minerals, etc. By the root hairs, oxygen is diffused into it, and when they utilize it, carbon dioxide is diffused out. Alright. Number second is by stems. Here you have two conditions. Number first is a stem, herbaceous stem, and the second one is the trees which have woody stem. Okay. When the stem is green, it means in the herbs. The stomata are also found in their stems also. This is the structure of a stomata, which is composed of two bean-shaped cells. They are called guard cells, which open and close during the daytime and permanently closed during the night time. So when the stomata opens, they take in oxygen from the environment. This is called respiration. So in the herbaceous plants, they use the stomata that are found on their stems also. Okay. In some trees, there is an opening in their bark of a stem. It is called lenticels, by which they respire. But most of the plants do not have lenticels. So in that plants or in that trees, respiration doesn't take place through their stems. Okay. And the last part is the leaf, through which respiration and photosynthesis takes place. During the process of respiration, plants behave like other organisms. They take in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide through stomata. And by the side of respiration, they also do photosynthesis during the daytime, in which they take in carbon dioxide and giving out oxygen. Okay, but at the night time, they only do respiration, like human being and other organisms. They take in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. That's why we should not sleep under a tree during night time. But what happens during the daytime? During the daytime, photosynthesis and respiration takes place side by side. During photosynthesis, they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. A small part of oxygen they take in during respiration and giving out carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide they take in photosynthesis. It means plants release a small amount of carbon dioxide into the environment. They mostly used up in the process of photosynthesis. Okay. Now the topic respiration is completed. In my next video, I will explain the next topic of the same chapter. It is transportation. Till then, keep learning.